The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
There goes that man's jock strap. Oh my God, did you see that?
America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports. There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship. Green Bay's got it this year. Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
The In a League of Their Own podcast is brought to you by Golf Kicks. Screw your shoes. By Canadips. Rep Sports. By Smooth My Balls. And by Streamer Loot. Check out the In the League of Their Own merch line today. Welcome to the show. Let's see what Austin and Collin are diving into today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of In a League of Their Own podcast. Today's episode is number 70. So today's fun fact is in 1998 season, Mark McGwire's record-setting 70 home runs, the ball traveled a total of 29,598 feet, which is enough to fly over Mount Everest.
That's impressive.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
We had 70 home runs in a season.
Yep, that was the record-setting 70 home runs. That was the big juice era.
Huh. Wow. And to think Shohei Ohtani might come within 10, 15 of that this year.
Because I think it was eventually broken by Sammy Sosa. I just want to check. I think Sosa had 72. Oh, it was Barry Bonds. 73. 73.
73. Okay.
Yep. Mark McGwire's got 70. Sammy Sosa's got 66. So McGwire's got 65, then Sammy Sosa passed him 66. Then McGwire said, "Oh, fuck you, I'm gonna hit 70." And then Barry Bonds was like, I'll just settle it and hit 73.
Yeah. And then Bonds
And then they
got
all
caught
get
with the
busted for
yeah.
juice. And then they all get busted for the juice.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I'm surprised
Well, dude,
that
if you looked at their pictures, if you just looked at their pictures from the time that they played, from the time that they got into the league, to the time that it was 1997, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, where it was the huge steroid. They were like 50, 70 pounds bigger, dude. Like, there was one picture of Sammy Sosa. His neck was like skinny. And then all of a sudden by the end, his neck was just fucking red, like veins popping out of his neck. Just so big. But yeah, thought that was an interesting stat for number 70.
yeah, it's interesting that they even allow that to be like this, like allow those guys to hold the records for those, because they're exempt from the Hall of Fame for being caught with roids. So if they're exempt from the Hall of Fame, wouldn't you exempt them from being on the records list too? Because it's tarnished technically.
Well, they still did it though, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I heard the argument about like Alex Rodriguez too. It's like when he started using because he didn't take roids, he took something else. He took the same thing that whatever Ryan Braun got caught with. It wasn't
PEDs.
Yeah, it wasn't steroids, but it was some other performance enhancing drug. And he still, when those guys were in college, they still were hitting 40, 50, 60 home runs. So it's like they can still do it. It's not that it's not like they couldn't do it. It just helped them a little bit sustain doing that year after year after year, because hitting a baseball is probably one of the most difficult things to do off an MLB pitcher.
Yeah.
Like fielding is so much easier and pitching is even easier than hitting. Hitting is so hard.
And to do it hundreds of times a year after year.
Right. And then if you look at their whole home run, they're pretty consistent their whole careers, so it wasn't like, oh, he went from 8 home runs a season to 73. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like 50s to 60s to 70s, like they changed the game.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so let's kick it over to the NFL. What do we got here?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just briefly touch on it for a sentence or two here, and then we'll dive into it a little bit later. Our boy A-Rod is back, showed up to camp yesterday. We'll dive more into the details of that in a little bit for Wisconsin Wednesday segment. But one other thing to throw out there, Trey Lance signed his rookie deal of 4 years, $34.1 million, all guaranteed. So that's, great for the young man to have his entire contract guaranteed. That's a pretty good rookie deal as well. So good for him. And from my understanding, Zach Wilson is the only top 5 pick that hasn't signed his contract yet. So, but from my understanding, reading into it, it's pretty typical of the Jets to wait until closer to the end of training camp before they sign all their rookies. That's just apparently what they do year after year. So there's no worries there. But yeah, I got a couple other points, but what do you got for the NFL?
Deshaun Watson showed up at his camp as well after he was threatened to be fined. And coach came out and said that he was not a distraction at all. He was participating in drills. He was out there being a quarterback and kind of just showing up to work, wasn't bringing in any of the outside noise. He was there to get better, work out football, hopefully make whatever team that he's going to end up on a better team. So he's focusing on himself. But yeah, he wasn't really talking to anybody, kind of was staying to himself, and good to see him there, showing up and doing all that type of stuff. But, the flip side of that coin is there's now 10 more women who have came forward to have came public with their names. So his hole is continuing, it seems like, to get deeper and deeper at this point, which was no surprise to why probably the Texans are now interested in getting rid of him. And yeah, hopefully he can get the help that he needs. Everybody is, I guess, happy at the end of this whole whenever this whole thing gets taken care of. Because from my concern, it seems like the NFL is more concerned about the vaccine than handling this guy with 35 sexual assault allegations. And he's like one of the face of the NFL. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is all part of their plan to try to just not worry about it and let it just like slide under the rug. I have no idea, but this is bizarre to me when what's his name on the Chiefs in the elevator. Oh, and that was Baltimore Ravens, Ray Rice.
Oh,
there was like that whole thing. If that was the big, that was a storyline for years.
mm-hmm.
And this happens to the guy, one of the face of the NFL, and nobody's talking about it. So I don't know. It's interesting to see what's going to happen here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like you said about the vaccine, it seems like that's kind of the forefront of what's going on. Even yesterday, Coach Ron Rivera of Washington came out and said that he was very displeased with his team because they're barely above the 50% mark for vaccinations with the players and stuff. So whether he's actually disgruntled about it or the NFL said, hey, we need you to come out and make this statement to urge your team a little more, might be a little bit of both. But yeah, it seems like that's kind of the NFL's focus, is getting everybody vaccinated and not really having obviously having good reason, but not having the right reasons for people to do it. And then going back to kind of Deshaun Watson's situation, as time goes on, his value is going to go down because of more allegations come out. The situation gets more and more messy. If the Texans want to get the most value out of him that they could, they should have traded him immediately after the whole allegation came out. Watson said, I still want out of Houston. That would have been probably his highest value point. Was right about that time. Now that things are kind of heating up again and more allegations are coming out, it's going to bring down his value more and more again. So, obviously he's still worth at least one, if not two first rounders. So who knows what they're going to end up getting for him. But yeah, they're going to have to make a move quick if they want to actually see some value out of him.
Yeah, and like we talked about on Monday, there's really not a whole bunch of destinations where he can end up because a lot of places have their quarterback.
Yeah.
It's like maybe Carolina, Philly was like the main one that we said, but that's kind of it. Jacksonville, if fucking Lawrence sucks, Chicago, if Field stinks, but
maybe Denver, if Bridgewater.
maybe Denver, or maybe that's the spot that Rodgers wants to go to after the season's over.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what all plays out, because like like I said, I'll save it for the Wisconsin Wednesday segment.
All
Didn't
right.
want to dive into that there, but yeah. And then sticking with like the vaccine here, Cole Beasley, he was imminent on day one, how he wasn't going to get the vaccine, how he would literally play for free this season if he didn't have to get the vaccine and could do whatever he wanted to. He says it's starting to. He wants to make sure that everybody has the proper information before they get the vaccine, and that's what I feel like, myself included in this. That's why I have not gotten the vaccine. There's just not enough information and data out there to tell me why I should get it, because people who've gotten the vaccine are still getting COVID, are still getting sick, are still dying. So what is the point of getting that when it doesn't even do anything?
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't see, a point in, the research just doesn't back up what the information that they're saying. It's like what they're saying doesn't back up what is actually going on. So I feel like people have their people have their God-given right in the country that we live in, which is so awesome. Everybody has their own freedom to choose what they want to do. And I feel like the NFL should back off making it mandatory. And, if that's just like religion, like they can't keep that for people from believing in that and doing that. So why are they going to step in and do this for a stupid fucking shot in your arm that doesn't do anything?
Yeah. But yeah, we've said multiple times, though, the NFL is its own government to where they can do these kinds of things and get away with it. No way, like Amazon or Apple or Google, some big corporations, like, we're forcing all of our employees to get vaccinated. That would never go through. So how does the NFL get away with it? Because they're their own government, because they can do what they want and get away with it. Which again, a lot of those other companies I mentioned have just as much pull as the NFL does as far as the influence on the world and the amount of money they have, if not more than the NFL, probably for like Apple and Google. But yeah, it's just crazy how.
Yeah, it's all money that the government uses.
Yeah.
Because like Lamar right now, he tests positive and he's going to be out for who knows how long of training camp now. And it's just like, he's vaccinated. Like,
Yeah.
so many people, dude. It's like, it's not helping. It's not helping. It's honestly making, for me, being a bystander in this whole thing. Okay, and if like your job, okay, we're gonna need you to get the vaccine. So the first round of people get it, and they're still getting sick and still whatever. And then you go, why am I getting this if it doesn't work? There's not a good reason to get it, like they can't give you 100% certain reason to get it. It's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And all the companies who have made this drug, you can look into it. Like they've all been in trouble in the past, from money laundering to fucking. It's no good news ever comes out of anything that's super rushed and forced. Like if it feels like something's being forced on you, it's not a good thing.
Yeah. It's actually funny. I can't remember what city it was done in, but I actually saw there was like they tested a group of people, all people who died due to COVID, like that was their cause of death. 92 were unvaccinated, 118 were vaccinated in like this certain group that they tested. So more people died that were vaccinated than unvaccinated from this group that they tested.
Yeah, they're saying about 90% of the people who are dying are vaccinated.
Yeah. So again, either it's not helping or it's making it worse. To where, I mean, it's like getting like comparing it to like a flu shot. They're putting a strain of that into your body for it to fight it. So say, especially with this new variant, this Delta variant that comes out, if you get the COVID vaccine, you have that, you're putting that virus into your body where it's fighting that. And while you're fighting that, you come into contact with the Delta variant. So you have two different strains of COVID in your body. That's probably where all these vaccinated people are dying, is because they have two different strains of COVID that their body are trying to fight and they can't do it.
Well, and I know the people who've had COVID and didn't even know that they had COVID, and then they get the vaccine, they already have the antibodies. So then they're giving themselves a double dose of even a stronger, more potency of the variation, and they get super, super sick. And it's just like, why would you want to do like?
Yeah. Well, that's a big reason why I haven't got it too yet either, is because back in January I had it. So it's like, and I've done some reading on it to where obviously if you had it before, it's harder to get it again. But kind of like you said, if I already have the antibodies and I already have it in my system, if I get
You
it
don't need it
again,
again.
like, yeah, I don't know. It'll figure itself out. We'll look back on this in 5-10 years and be like, oh, remember when the world couldn't figure out COVID?
I don't know, dude. I kind of feel like this might be
Well, they're saying
the
this is
way
going to be
of
the
the
new.
world.
This is going to be the new flu. Oh, did you get your COVID shot this year? Like
I
that's
don't
going
think
to be
it's
the
gonna
new
be. I
talk.
don't think it's gonna be like that. I think it's gonna be some people wearing masks for the rest of their lives and some people not wearing masks. You know, it's gonna be interesting going forward because how there's two different variants of this COVID already, and it's been 1 year. How many variants are gonna come next year,
Yeah.
the year after, where COVID could literally be around for eternity
Mm-hmm.
until they have the time and the research to fucking figure out how to stop the thing.
Yeah. Well, it
And that
doesn't
ain't
help that there's
happening in
eight.
6 months.
It doesn't help that there's 8 billion people in the world that all live in different parts of the world, all have different access to different healthcare, medicines, all this and that. How do you come up with one solution that fits everybody into that same umbrella? You can't.
Well, a guy that they brought on a like some chemical guy who studies like chemical compounds and shit like that. He was on Rogan's show and he suggested that people take, I think it was like zinc, iron, and get sunlight. And if you incorporate those three things into your like daily life, it does, your body basically builds up that same type of thing to like fight it, and you're not going to get like sick. And it's just like they've done studies now where it's been long enough where a lot of people who haven't gotten it are getting outside, exposing themselves to sunlight. They're getting their vitamins and minerals and nutrients that they need. You know, they're not depriving themselves of anything. And they're kind of, you know, they're not, I'm not going to say like super healthy, but they're healthy enough to where their body's not taking a shit on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, enough COVID talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose we could get back on topic here. Um, let's see here. Oh, Dolphins cornerback Xavier Howard. He's been kind of holding out and been disgruntled with the team. He officially requests a trade yesterday on Instagram. He had a paragraph kind of talking about the whole situation, very similar to kind of a lot of the things that like Roger was saying, not being valued, not being seen as a leadership role on the team to be able to be used as a resource for younger players and for the team as a whole.
Right. They think of these people just as your position. They don't think of these people as people. Like,
Yeah,
it's messed up in that way.
yeah. So, I mean, he's an amazing young cornerback. A probably top three cornerback in the league right now.
Come on up to Green Bay.
Yeah, I think he led the league last year with like 9 or 11 interceptions. It was close to 10. I remember that. But yeah, he's a young stud. Whoever picks him up is going to be a good fit for him. I can't remember what teams. I think it was Dallas. Unfortunately, the Chiefs, and there was one other team which were kind of the three front runners who would be interested in going after him. So, yeah, regardless, he's going to be a good addition to a defense.
And you know how you said it was close to 10 interceptions? He had 10.
Okay, so he had 10. Yeah, I knew it was around 10. I couldn't remember if it was 9, 10, or 11, but yeah, and then the last point I had for today for the NFL is that the NCAA came out and said that they will not be returning the Heisman Trophy to Reggie Bush. Some people on that committee or whatever, they had a meeting about it, saying that even though there is now the NIL rules for college athletes, nowhere in the new stuff that's passed do they allow or have they allowed a pay to play situation, which is what they put Reggie Bush into, as a pay to play situation from getting his trophy removed. like 16 years ago, whatever that was. So they decided to not give him his trophy back, and that sounds like that's the end of that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any other NFL points to throw out there?
The Colts expect Braden Smith, right tackle, to protect who'd they bring over this year?
Who?
Colts. Who's their QB this year?
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz. They're beefed up that line to get him some help that he'd never got in Philadelphia. I know earlier in the season they extended their center and left guard, I think it was Quentin Nelson. Now they're getting their right tackle and Braden Smith, $72.4 million. Seems like that team is all going guns blazing, trying to come out of that AFC division that they're in.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lopsided division where it's the Titans and the Colts at the top, and then the Jags and the Texans are kind of obvious, like sub 500 teams as of right now, at least. But yeah, obviously a good move for them. Again, Carson Wentz not really having that protection that he it looks like he's getting in Indy. So yeah, be awesome to see kind of the potential that Carson Wentz has, knowing he doesn't have to worry about running for his life or forcing throws he doesn't want to because of bad protection.
Right. And Chris Hogan also reached a deal with the New Orleans Saints. Shout out to him that he gets to stay in the league. And yeah, that's all I really had on the NFL today.
Sounds good. Well, then going over to our Wednesday segment, Wisconsin Wednesday. Some Northwoods League talk. Things are tightening up over in the Great Lakes divisions as the Kokomo Jackrabbits now just hold a 1-game lead over the Traverse City Pit Spitters in the East. And the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders, sizable lead in the West, is down to just 1 game as well over the Woodchucks. And then over in the Great Plains divisions, still a lot of the same. Waterloo Bucks hold a 9.5-game lead, and the St. Cloud Rocks a 3.5-game lead in the West. The playoffs are just, I believe, a little over 3 weeks away. And Traverse City will look to defend their 2019 title. Due to COVID, they didn't play last year, so Traverse City is the defending champions over there. I'll throw it over to you. What you got for Wisconsin news?
So the biggest news probably in the sports world right now, besides the Olympics, is Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay, and after his first day of camp today, he had a pretty I'm not going to say, he just was completely honest in his press conference and just kind of aired out everything to everyone so that everybody was aware of what was going on and where he stood and kind of what he wants going forward, basically, and addressing it to the media and not just keeping it quiet between him and the Packers behind closed doors. Now the world knows what he wants. Are the Packers going to be stupid enough to not do it? Is basically what's kind of happening here. All the pressure is on the Packers to be able to make everything that he wants happen, basically. Yeah, he just said the biggest thing was he just wants to be involved in conversations that affect his ability to be able to do his job. He said that multiple times today in his press conference. And he wants to basically help the organization learn from some of the mistakes they made in the past. Letting go some of the players, that was like his biggest thing, was the core, the character that they had in the locker room when they won that championship in 2011. And then they just got rid of everybody basically year after year after that, and not keeping the core group together, which is so much more important than talent. You could have all the talent in the world, but if guys don't get along and you're shitty people towards each other, you're not going to win. And yeah, when he was going, he almost rattled off a dozen names, like instantly, like just boom, 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 like this guy. And it starts with Charles Woodson, who was a huge cornerstone winning us the Super Bowl. Then next was Julius Peppers, huge cornerstone in helping us win the Super Bowl. You know, like Randall Cobb. Now he's coming back, thankfully. You know, we got rid of Jordy Nelson when he wanted to take the league minimum to retire in Green Bay. Oh, fuck you, Jordy.
Mhm.
Like, they're not the best at treating people the best. And he wants to be involved in that going forward, you know, try to change the culture of Green Bay a little bit and make it a little bit more friendly. And then him addressing the Green Bay isn't a vacation destination. You know, it's not warm here year round. It's not sunny out every day. People come here to play with me. They want to win. And I'm happy that he addressed that, you know, like he's putting his foot down, and I'm glad that he's doing it.
Yeah, I am too. And a lot of things you said are kind of the same points I wrote down. As far as the Packers weren't using him as a resource, talking about free agents, even recruiting during the offseason, the draft. He said that he put together lists and notes of certain players and certain things to go after, and they just throw it in the trash. And he said that they'd basically not take anything he said into consideration. Um, and that's frustrating when you've been a part of that organization for 16 going on into his 17th year, to where they just look at him as a QB1 and that's it. And maybe having influence on second, third, fourth string quarterbacks, and that's about all it is. And then,
Well, and especially real quick, sorry to cut you off, but I
oh,
just
you're
wanted
good.
to get this in, especially for him, a guy who cares so much about Green Bay. Like, he actually loves being in Green Bay. He loved it. Who knows if that's going to be that going forward after this point, but like, when you have a guy who loves being there and wants to make the organization better, like, why the fuck wouldn't you listen to the guy?
Yeah. Yeah, at least hear him out. Look at, like, whether they looked at what he brought to the table and said, "Oh, we don't want to do that," or didn't look at it at all. Like, he's a smart guy. He's arguably one of the highest QB or IQs in the game.
Yeah, he's a nerd.
You can't not listen to the guy when he has something to say. Obviously, he's built relationships with other players, other coaches, other organizations from being in the league as long as he has. Like, the Packers front office only knows the Packers. That's their focus, is what can we do to make our team better. Rodgers has been around the league to know and see what other teams do, and obviously pick up on some of the good things and bad things other teams do, and be able to kind of sift through all of it and throw the good things at the Packers and say, this is the knowledge I've gained over the years. Take a look at this and see what you guys think. And they just basically said no. And then, which kind of led to, at one point, Rodgers did force his hand about being traded if the Packers weren't going to use him beyond his quarterback duties, as to where, what did he say in this conference? If you have another option, then do it. It was basically like how he kind of worded wanting to be traded, that if you don't see me having a future here, then get rid of me now, is basically what he was saying.
Quote unquote, he said, I felt like if you can't commit to me past 2021 and I'm not a part of your recruiting process and free agency, if I'm not a part of the future, then instead of letting me be a lame duck quarterback, if you want to make a change and move forward, then go ahead and do it now.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what he said. And yeah, I mean, everything you said in the press conference today, none of it was childish. None of it was blown out of proportion. It was from the heart, very methodical. You could tell that he's been thinking about how he's going to conduct himself in this first press conference coming out of this offseason. Although a lot of it was a lot of kind of seemed like hurt feelings and then kind of taking subtle shots at the organization. There were some good things to take out of it. He said he was optimistic on being with the organization beyond 21, and that he doesn't want anybody to give up on him. So, I mean, given how things look right now, that's obviously great for him to say that he's optimistic about staying with the team beyond this year. Obviously, so long as they go on to have a successful year, try to get back to an NFC championship, hopefully a Super Bowl, that kind of changes the narrative of him wanting to stay. But yeah, Yeah, I mean, the Packers are a winning team, but right now they don't have a winning culture, and those are two very different things.
Yeah, and then the one thing that he did set straight was after how he expressed how he wanted to be involved in everything. The Packers just was like, "Oh, we'll extend your contract to make you the most paid," and it wasn't about the money, and like he said in the press conference, he goes, "Let's just see if we can throw some money at you." He said from the start it wasn't about the money. Obviously, I didn't show up for the off-season program or minicamp. To me, this was bigger than this. It was about trying to be a resource for the organization that I care about and love so much, and which he does. Like, this guy would give everything to be a Packer for his whole life, and he said that multiple times. But if you're not going to value him, if you're not going to get the most out, clearly he wants to give everything he has to Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So why, as an organization, aren't you going to let him do more than just be a quarterback and give everything that he can to your organization? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens going forward here, I guess.
Yeah. And it's rare to have a player step up and say that they want to go beyond their position. Some people want to just show up, throw balls, catch balls, get paid. And then the rest of it, they're like, the business side, the politics, I don't want any part of that. I'm just here to play football. That's 95, 99% of the league who has that mindset. Players like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, all are kind of in that top 1% of guys that are like, okay, I'm a great quarterback. How else can I be a resource to my team? And the other three names mentioned in Rodgers have all seem like they have an impact on their organization, where Brady kind of put together a team down in Tampa. Mahomes says, I want a better offensive line. They get it to him. Whatever happened over in Seattle with Russell, he's happy now. And Rodgers at least seems content at the moment for the way things are moving. And hopefully by the end of this week, if not next week, end of training camp, whatever it's going to be, the details come out about whatever agreement that they have. Sounds like they're going to be voiding his 2023 year to where he can walk if he wants to. But again, it's all going to come down to Rodgers if he wants to. And for the time being, it sounds like he does want to stay. But the Packers have the next year, 8 to 10 months really to change and prove to him that they value him and want to keep him in Green Bay.
And all you really got to do is just listen to the guy.
Yeah. Like you don't have to, he says something, okay, we'll do it. He says something, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, he doesn't expect to be calling the shots for the organization. He just wants his input to be heard.
Yeah. Or at least be in the room to listen to the conversations.
Right, so he can give his opinion on something.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if it affects his job as a quarterback, which almost every position does, unless you're talking defense.
Yeah.
But still, core character people, that still affects his job. Because that affects the team. So that affects everybody's job.
Yeah. You get rid of a guy like Charles Woodson, Julius Peppers on the defense. That's one missing leadership role in the defense. So that puts more weight on Rodgers' shoulders to step up and be more of a leader of the entire team.
And then you get rid of AJ Hawk, and then you get rid of Clay Matthews. And then we got rid of so many people that were such great people.
Yeah.
Not just great football players, but great people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost sad, but I'm glad Rodgers, aired it all out there, and now the world knows, like what's been going on. So,
yeah, and then kind of on top, or kind of fitting in a tangent with that situation is the return of Mr. 18 Randall Cobb. If we kind of we're throwing it around, and it seems more and more of a sure thing that a part of Rodgers' return was saying, hey, we got to bring back Randall Cobb, or having a list of guys or certain things saying, I'll come back if you've done dozens of things wrong and like screwed me over how many times in the past decade and a half. Make this one thing right and I'll come back. And it seems like Randall Cobb was that one thing they're going to make right. And Devontae Adams made a comment yesterday too, saying he was excited to see the return of Randall Cobb. And now, and was kind of excited to see, is Jordy going to return? So I guess that's kind of a question. Would a return from Jordy even make sense for the Packers?
No, that makes zero sense.
Yeah.
We have MVS, we got St. Brown, we have good young guys.
Lazard, yeah.
We have good young guys who are out there who can play. However, if you want to maybe bring him in the organization for like a wide receivers coach or a role on the team, I could totally see that making sense. As he seemed like a really high value person to that organization, whether he was in or out. Because even when he was hurt, he seemed like he was a huge cornerstone of the Packers, like just the character. And that's what Rodgers, that's what really, at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to, is everybody getting along, everybody becoming a family, and literally not just being there to do your job. It's more than that. Like, you should love your teammates. And that's what he wants. He wants the Packers organization to take that leap and become that family and not just an iconic football franchise who's won so many Super Bowls and yada, yada, yada. He wants it to be more than that, and it should be.
Yeah, like you said, it seems like the Packers have made a lot of people who have come and gone disposable to where, you've been a great player for us for 10, 15, almost 20 years. Bye. Yeah. Obviously it's nice to see that they kind of fix the relationship with Brett Favre. He still is involved with the Green Bay area, the organization in some ways. They have him on the Ring of Honor in Lambeau. He's in the Packers Hall of Fame, stuff like that. So they did make things right there. But at the same time, kind of with the whole situation with Rodgers, when Favre was asked about it, he had kind of similar things that Rodgers said about the organization. So Favre hasn't hesitated to still throw shade at the organization when asked about it. So obviously he still has some hurt feelings there.
Oh, yeah. And speaking on how they treat their ex-players as well, it's like, wait till Tom Brady goes back to New England this season and see how an organization treats a player who's fucking given them everything. Like, they probably have a huge ceremony, something lined up for him, where when you had Brett Favre coming back to Lambeau, you had people booing and like, what, like, I get that it's sports, but like, it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Like, people can appreciate, and I'm sure this is going to happen in New England. I'm sure they're going to have a huge ceremony where everybody's going to go and clapping and probably the biggest applause and celebration probably ever for somebody making a return somewhere. And then after that's over, it's going to go to fuck you, Tom Brady. This is a game, but they're at least going to appreciate the fact and what he's done for, like, even if you hate his guts when the game's going on, you still can take the time to appreciate what he's really done.
Yeah.
Like, sports is so much bigger than just sports.
And like you said, they're gonna have something prepared for him. It's gonna be a matter of respect for what he's given to the Patriots
and same with Gronk too,
Yeah, for him as well. Yeah.
He's given his back to that team.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of all I have with the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. Again, things will kind of, I'm sure, come out more and more with Randall Cobb returning as well. We both did some digging in to find exactly what's going on in that deal, but it just said that the Packers are acquiring Randall Cobb. I mean, given he is coming from the Texans, maybe they did just let him walk. Given that he
was holding out. So
yeah, given that they gave away DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of Skittles and a washed up running back. But yeah, we'll see kind of how that whole deal goes down once it becomes finalized. Apparently it is finalized. They just haven't released the details of it yet, but yeah,
that's all I got too.
All right. And then the last point for Wisconsin Wednesday, going over to Badgers football here, is Badger quarterback Graham Mertz signs a deal with a memorabilia company, Panini America. They do a lot of like football cards, signed helmets, jerseys.
They make a lot of paninis too.
Yeah, a lot of paninis. But yeah, just another name to add to the long list of college athletes who are finally getting paid. So great to see that. But Yeah, that's the last point I had for Wednesday or Wisconsin Wednesday stuff. Then moving over here to the NBA for a few points. One thing coming out of the gates here is that the NBA announces that the play-in tournament that they tested this past year will be back for at least one more season. I mean, they only had it for 1 year, so it's hard to say how people feel about it. But I guess what were your thoughts on the play-in tournament this year? Did you like it? Do you think it could be revamped a little bit more? Or do they just get rid of it completely?
For baseball?
For basketball.
For the for the Olympics you're talking about?
No, the play-in tournament for the playoffs.
Oh, for the playoffs. Guess I've never really thought. I honestly don't like it, but
I think the one thing that came good that came out of it was the Warriors Lakers game. Like that felt like playoff atmosphere, big huge game. I mean that was really the only game out of the play-in tournament that seemed worth watching. I know a lot of players have a distaste with it and didn't really care for it. Yeah, I guess they're going to test it out for one more season, whether they keep it exactly the same or revamp some stuff. But yeah, they're bringing it back for at least one more year.
Yeah, and then Team USA getting the victory in the Olympics over Iran. Looks like they finally showed up. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty funny. Did you see what Giannis said?
No, I didn't.
He goes, "What time's the NBA game play or whatever?" And then he goes, "If I have to pay for it, never mind." So that got a lot of laughs online.
See, even Giannis, a guy who's making millions, won't even pay fucking $12 for Peacock or whatever. He got to get to watch that.
Yep.
I mean, if I don't know, if the Olympics were different this year as far as having more of a crowd and just structured better with how, I don't know, it just seems like a weird year. Like usually you look forward to the Olympics every year and then my eyes are glued to the TV. Like I have it on in the background if I'm doing stuff just to kind of watch if USA is doing like archery or rowing or volleyball or whatever is going on. I'll kind of glance over at it once in a while to see how they're doing. But in years past, it's just like, oh, this is on, boom, phone down, like Olympics is on. This year, I don't really get that feeling. Again, whether it's the way
it's the time difference too. It's like
from
5 p.m. till 5 a.m. is when all the crazy, you got to stay up till 5, 6 a.m. if you really want to watch all of the events.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's been throwing me off because it's like I'll start watching the primetime events when they go on at 7:00 p.m. here, and then it's like, okay, I'm only making it to like 1 a.m. It's like there's still 7 hours of sports going on that I'm missing.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, and then the couple of NBA news that I have, Bryn Forbes is declining his player option with the Milwaukee Bucks to stay with them. And former President Barack Obama to join NBA Africa as a strategic partner and a minority owner. I think this is awesome. The NBA is, by the time that the NBA is done, there'll be a team in every single country all around the world. I have a feeling the NBA is going to be a nationwide, like a worldwide league.
Yeah, I mean, there's already like other leagues that exist throughout the world, but yeah, I feel like the NBA, whether it's going to be called the NBA or if the NBA is just going to like,
it's going to be like NBA Africa, NBA Europe, NBA Asia, NBA whatever. That's what it's going to be, and then there's going to be all the different teams. It's brilliant too. Like, why wouldn't you get the best players in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you want to get the best players from everywhere? The spotlight and be able to be seen.
Yeah, I mean it's like soccer. It's like soccer with how how they have their league set up to where they have all the best players in one league that all play against each other now. To where,
and then when they're not doing that, they're going back to whatever, and they're playing this tournament, that tournament, this game for this team. Because that's what's so cool about soccer is like you could play on like 7 different teams at the same time.
Yeah.
if you're like loaned out for millions of dollars to play in it, you know what I mean? Like it's so awesome that soccer really never stops.
Yeah. And then the last point I had for the NBA today was that projected number 1 overall pick, Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State, signs a multi-year endorsement deal with Nike. So good to see the young man getting paid. Again, looks like he is going to be the number 1 projected pick going to Detroit. And I believe that's tomorrow. Yeah, the NBA draft is tomorrow. So we'll get to see what happens there, where everybody lands and where these young men get to start their professional career.
Yeah, it's awesome. Glad to see these young kids. It seems like a lot of them are ahead of the ball as far as taking time to get all these sponsors and stuff. It seems like the world has been waiting for this to happen, and now everybody's jumping on it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, so then jumping over to the MLB here, we have the Seattle Mariners acquiring Tyler Anderson in a trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Trey Turner of the Nationals was forced to leave mid-game last night after finding out he tested positive for COVID. Also with COVID, Christian Yelich will be out as well for at least 10 days after testing positive. Trevor Bauer has his administrative leave extended a 3rd time yesterday, now to August 6th, as the team, league, and authorities are still investigating his allegations. It is paid leave, so that's dumb, but whatever.
I feel like the only reason it's paid leave is because you can't by the story and all the reports, you can't instantly say that the guy's guilty or not guilty. So you really don't know. Where if it's a situation where it's just like this guy fucked up and did this, all right, no pay.
But also, he's a pitcher in the MLB.
Because he could also get fined. They could fine him for everything that they paid him if he's guilty of it, so they could get all that money back.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then the last point with the MLB is that the Cubs are looking to get a fresh start this year as they're dealing out most of their star players. They have already moved outfielder Jock Peterson and Andrew Chaffin. And then rumors have it by the end of this week as well, they could be trading Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, and Anthony Rizzo. So it looks like the Cubs are looking to completely start over fresh with a new team. I mean, at first glance, it's like, why are they getting rid of those players? But also they have a losing record and they're down, I think, like 12 or 13 games in the Central. So,
and all those guys are worth a fuck ton of money.
Yeah. So the Cubs are going to, even though they're getting rid of a lot of good players, they're basically going to, now's the time to make a move and try to go on a run to try to become relevant in the Central before the season's over. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and then sticking with the Central, talking about the Central, the Brewers are looking to add to their NL Central leading roster. They're looking to add some pretty big names, actually, which is pretty surprising for the Brewers. They normally aren't a team that goes out and goes after some of these big guys, but 3 or 5 names that are out there technically right now: Josh Donaldson from the Twins, 3rd baseman for the Twins; Rockies shortstop Trevor Story; Rangers right-handed pitcher Kyle Gibson; and then 2 hitters that we're trying to bring in is oh, never mind. We already got these 2 guys. We got Rowdy Tellez and Willie Adames as part of a 4-player deal with the Tampa Bay Rays back in May. But we're looking to load up and go for a ship. I think this is kind of awesome that this is really the first time since 2008 when we went and loaded up with Sabathia and all the other guys that we brought in and had Braun in his prime. We had a lot of guys in their prime at that time too. It was kind of like, go for it. I feel like we're in that same situation right now. They're doing that with Yelich and with a couple of the other guys that we have on our team. It's like they're in their prime. They ain't getting any, they're not getting any younger. Let's go for it now. Let's fucking do it. And awesome to see that, hopefully it works out. Getting Trevor Story would be unbelievable if we could get him in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Wow. That team would be unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to throw in the Dodgers. I mean, they're in a tough division with the Giants and the Padres right now, kind of
Because
going
that's where
toe to
Chris
toe with
Bryant's
them.
going. He's going to the Giants.
Oh, okay.
It's not for sure done, but like they've been working on it
Yeah.
for a while now.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, because looking at that division, I mean, you have each of your division winners, and then you have 2 wild cards come out. So,
Yeah, because the Dodgers are trying. I believe that they're gonna get the Dodgers, Padres, and who did you say? The Giants.
yeah.
And all 3 of them are going after Max Scherzer.
Oh, yep. That was
Because
another one.
he's waiving his no trade clause because he wants to get the fuck out of Washington because they're doing the same thing that the Cubs are doing, selling everybody. They're basically like everybody but Juan Soto's trading, like is available.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see, especially all in the West there, because that's basically how it's going to come down to is you have each of your 4 division winners, and then whoever doesn't win the division in the West, the Padres, the Dodgers, the Giants, the other 2 teams are going to be the 2 wild cards based off of records right now, because that's what the wild cards go off of. Is the
yeah, all 3
next 2
teams,
best.
all 3 are gonna get in.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like you said, it'd be awesome to see some deep deep playoff run in Brewers baseball this year. It's been a long time coming, and yeah, if they go after those guys that you mentioned, that this could be the team to do it this year to at least make it to an NLCS.
Yeah, it would be it'd be awesome to see that, especially I feel like having the Bucks win the championship kind of gives them a little extra of incentive to kind of like, all right, it's our year this year. And that hopefully that feeds over to the Packers as well. Is like, let's win 3 ships.
Yeah, yeah. With all the Brewers that were at Game 6, they're probably like, "Oh, this is what this feels like. We got to go do this ourselves."
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so then that kind of wraps up baseball. Over in the NHL, what's going on over there?
So over in the NHL, it's been a freaking crazy week of trades, free agency pickups, moves. There's so many out there. I could I'll just pull up the list here and just start reading off a couple of these because some of these are some pretty big moves here. So Tampa Bay Lightning, they re-signed Braden Point. They ink him to an 8-year deal, $76 million. So that's huge for them. See some other big ones here. Philip Deneau is leaving the Montreal Canadiens. He's going to the Los Angeles Kings on a 6-year, $33 million deal. So that's a huge deal. Restricted free agent, one of Buffalo's top defensemen as well, is leaving. Jake McCabe. He's agreeing to terms with the Chicago Blackhawks on a 4-year, $16 million contract. The Blackhawks also got Tyler Johnson from the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for Brett Seabrook's rights. He's one of their defensemen who hasn't played the last couple seasons due to injury. He's owed a lot of money. Philadelphia Flyers, they signed the reigning Ironman Keith Yandle to a 1-year deal for $950,000. So him and childhood best friends Keith Yandle and Kevin Hayes get to play on the same NHL team with each other. So that's pretty awesome for those of you who are Spit and Chicklets fans. This is like a dream come true for those two. Braden Holtby is going down to the desert in Dallas. He signed a 1-year, $2 million deal with them. Zach Parise, who got bought out by the Minnesota Wild, he basically has 3 options with the New York Islanders. It was like a 1-year deal with bonuses, 2-year or a 3-year deal. He has to pick one of those. And the other person who got bought up by the Minnesota Wild, Ryan Suter, signs a new home and teams up with Wisconsin native Joe Pavelski down on the Dallas Stars. 4-year, $14.6 million contract. So Pretty big move there. Tampa Bay Lightning also lose another huge part of their team. Blake Coleman, he signs a 6-year, $29.4 million contract with the Flames. So he's heading up to Calgary. Yeah, it's just been absolutely insane. The Avalanche and their captain finally got agreed on some terms on a deal. 8-year, $56 million contract extension there. Everybody saw that coming. There's no way that they were going to let their captain go. Alex Ovechkin as well also will be returning to the Capitals on a 5-year, $47.5 million contract. So that's huge for him there. Dang, dude, there's so many. So I'm just going to stop there of just reading them. But yeah, every single hour, literally every time I check my phone, there's been like 10, 12 moves made in the NHL. It's been an awesome time right now to be a hockey fan. There's been a lot of moves going on, and then also the expansion draft, which makes things even more dicey because teams lose guys for cheap or teams trade guys to other teams for nothing in return, and then they'll go make a deal with another guy to get him back, basically for way cheaper than they had him in the first place. It's really bizarre. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, what's the latest on his situation?
So the latest on Marc-Andre Fleury, he sent out a thank you post yesterday to all the Vegas Golden Knights fans, coaches, all that type of stuff. And he said that him and his wife are going to take some time and reassess the situation on what's going on. So in the end, the Blackhawks might be getting screwed in this whole situation by getting rid of their top goaltender for Marc-Andre Fleury, and then he just pulls the fast one and retires. Yeah, that was a bold move that they made there, but honestly, I think he's going to play. I can't just see him hanging it up, especially after the season he just had, his best season that he's had in his life. I can't see him retiring, in the midst of his prime, especially when the Blackhawks just went out and loaded up on their roster. Like they're going for the championship this season. Which is kind of cool to see. They were a cup relevant team many, many times from like 2009 to 2015. I think they got to 3 of them and winning 2, and then kind of going through their little lull patch with people getting paid who they paid, who weren't performing anymore, and signing guys to huge deals, which now they're shooting themselves in the foot, and they've gotten rid of all of them this season. So it's big moves from the Blackhawks. Even though I hate you guys, I dislike the Blackhawks as they beat my Flyers in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2010. But yeah, it's good to see them making moves. Colorado Avalanche as well, locking up their captain and the best defenseman arguably in the league, Cale Makar. And it's good to see players moving to teams that I never would have envisioned Ryan Suter being in Dallas. I never thought he would have been anything other than a Minnesota Wild player his whole entire career. And now he's going to be on the Stars with Joe Pavelski. Like 2 Wisconsin boys reunited together. I feel like that's pretty awesome. There's a handful of other players who are waiting to be bought out. One that did go through was the Edmonton Oilers bought out the contract of James Neal. So the Nealer's a free agent. And yeah, this is just getting more crazy literally as the day. Another big news, two ex-Lightning players who who beat the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup Finals are going to the Montreal Canadiens. David Savard, defenseman, he's going to fill the Shea Weber role on the defensive end. And then Cedric Paquette is also going up there. So interesting. It's usually you see that every season. It's kind of interesting how a team goes from the winning side to the losing team, and then they end up being almost right there again. It's like they see something in the team and it's like, okay, one little part and we could go again. So it's going to be awesome. And the last bit of news here, the Pittsburgh Penguins head coach Mike Sullivan was named U.S. men's hockey coach. if the NHL players are allowed to go to Beijing. So 2022, that will be if that happens. So that's kind of all I had in the NHL. Like I said, I could be talking nonstop for about 45 minutes on all the trades and stuff that's going on, but I don't want to bore you guys to death. So I will stop there.
Sounds good. Then yeah, kind of ending the show here, kind of what we've been doing the last couple episodes is with some Olympics talk. Just a few hours ago, the U.S. women take home gold in the 3v3 basketball, which is a new event this year. So great to see that. Yesterday, I can't remember her name. I'd have to pull it up for surfing. She was from Honolulu. She took home the gold in women's surfing. Yesterday, the U.S. and Australia had a soccer match that ended in a 0-0 draw. So I know they're getting close to tournament play. It's just group play right now. So that's just around the corner as well.
Yeah, and then swimming. There was two 19-year-old women's teammates in the 200 IM swim. They took silver and bronze. They swim for the University of Virginia. That was awesome to see them, as they're probably going to be Olympic swimmers. We'll probably see them back in the games. Then also in the 1500 meter swim, Katie Ledecky takes gold in the first ever 1500 meters Olympic swim
by a landslide.
Well, I wouldn't really say by a landslide, because the U.S. girl that took second, she wasn't that far behind her. Like, well, the lead was huge.
Yeah, Ledecky like touched the wall, stopped, turned around, and then like a second or two later, then second came. Which, I mean, in a 1500 meter race, I guess that's kind of close, but at the same time, when you're watching in real time, it's like, oh wow, she won by a lot.
Well, and she's won the last 36 consecutive 1500 meter swims. Like in world championships, college, all that. She's never lost a 1500 meter. And that's why everybody couldn't wait for the 1500 meter to see her win. And she obviously won because she hasn't lost.
Yeah. Yeah, and then updated medal count right now is Japan. Again, kind of how you mentioned last episode, they go by most gold medals. Japan has 13 golds and a total of 22. China has 12 golds and a total of 27. And the U.S. does have the most medals in 31, but they have 11 golds. So they currently sit in third with the medal count. And then the athletes representing Russia are in fourth with 23 and 7 golds. So, still a lot of Olympics left. I think there's still 4 or 5 days left. A lot of
still August 8th.
August 8th. Oh, shoot. So then a week and a half yet. But starting tomorrow, going through the weekend, you're going to start to see a lot more track and field events of your mile run, your 100-meter dash, shot put, discus, hammer throw, javelin, all that good stuff. So, I feel like those are a lot of areas that the U.S. dominates is track and field. So I feel like that's where they're going to catch up in the medal count.
Yeah, and track and field, I don't believe doesn't start until August 2nd, I think.
This said 29th for a lot of the events I was looking at yesterday. Like the prelims.
Yeah, prelims, I'm talking like medals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the only interesting events that are the featured events that are, I should say, are going on today. Just go over those real quick for you guys. We have men's 100-meter freestyle is tonight at 9:37 tonight. The men's individual golf kicks off at 5:30 p.m. Round 1 tees off. The women's 200-meter butterfly final is at 9:28 tonight. The women coxless pair rowing is at 6:40. I know the U.S. has a team there. Women's lightweight double sculls rowing as well is at 8:10. Beach volleyball, we have the U.S. women's second team in Katie Clays and Sponsel. They play at 7 p.m. And then the men's team, top team, Dahlhauser and Lucena, play at 9 o'clock p.m. tonight. So those are kind of the main events. Obviously, there are other events going on at all times. Basically, starting at 5:30 p.m. Is what they were going to kick off with golf, I believe, for the first couple hours until it got into the prime time showing. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty intense. Badminton's getting to the semifinals. The singles are getting to the round of 16s. The opening of baseball is tomorrow morning. That I know that happened yesterday as well. They started, but still in the beginning round of there. And then, yeah, prelims pretty much getting to the semifinals and finals of the rowing, the canoe slaloms and stuff like that. So a lot of the water stuff is getting to an end here. And then besides sailing, obviously sailing's just beginning, because I think that they go a long way in sailing, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like legs, kind of like the biking, how they go it's like almost 300 kilometers to where there's stages of it and stuff like that. Yeah, cool. We'll be back on Friday then to kind of see what else is going on around the sports world and highlight some more of the Olympic stuff.
Yeah, and one last thing that I think that we should touch on before we do close out here is Simone Biles withdrew herself from the all individual events today. She did not, yesterday. She did not compete, and I think that is one of the coolest moments in sports. Somebody with the confidence and to literally stand up on the world's biggest stage and say, I'm just not ready to go today. I'm not going to fucking do something that I'm not ready to do.
Mm-hmm.
And all the support raining out for her is unbelievably awesome. I feel like this is a huge moment in sports and in time in general of mental health and personal well-being come way before doing anything else for other people. So just wanted to touch on that quick before we wrapped up the episode.
Yeah, I mean, she's been there and done that. She has nothing to prove to anybody anymore. And for all the naysayers, I've seen a lot of negative comments of sports bettors or people saying, "Oh, you call yourself the GOAT," and it's like, I don't think she's ever referred to herself as the greatest. It's all everybody else that puts her up on that pedestal. So, like you said, it's great to see her on the world stage to say, you know what, I've done what I've done for USA Gymnastics. If mentally, physically, or both, I'm not ready to go today, then why put yourself in a spot where you can hurt yourself physically, and then that physical injury turns into a mental injury that lasts for the rest of your life because you hold that over yourself for pushing yourself beyond your limits. So, yeah, great to see her do that. Obviously, USA Gymnastics as a whole is still one of the best teams. I'm sure they'll still end up on the podium. But yeah, again, shout out to her for stepping up and putting her own well-being ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, and I could only imagine what she's going through, dude, especially after the last Olympics. She's literally been the face of everything. Like, could you imagine that pressure?
Yeah,
I couldn't. That's like Michael Phelps had that same thing, but social media wasn't as crazy as it was today. Like, it's like Michael Phelps times 10 of the podium that she's put on, like the weight that she probably feels every time that she puts on a gymnastics outfit. Like, everybody thinks that I'm the greatest. Like, I have to do it. No, you don't. Take care of yourself and just do what you can do. And that's awesome that she's not listening to the outside. No, none of that is affecting her, which is awesome.
And she's only 24 years old. She's the same age as me.
Crumble under that.
Like, I can't even, like, there's some stuff I do in my day-to-day life now that are like it's like, oh, like stressing over this and that. And it's like, imagine putting myself at my age, having an entire world depending on you to do one specific thing, like
to bring home the gold in every single event that you do.
Yeah.
And that to be an expectation, not oh, we hope that she does it. We know she can.
Yeah.
So do it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. For a lot of people, for her, it's a gold or bust. So it's like, oh, you got silver or bronze, like you're terrible. It's like, there out of the thousands of people who do that event across the world, like to be a top 3, top 10, top 100 in the world, like for all the naysayers, like you go out there and do
Fuck
it.
Fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, that kind of wraps up things today. Then I don't have anything else to add.
All right. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to all of our social media outlets. Google and Apple Podcasts. Give us that 5-star rating. Help us move us up the charts. And we will be back on Friday.
See you Friday.